Hey everyone, welcome to the Unconnoisseur. Tonight we are discussing none other than the infamous Dave Holland. Dave was born in 1946 in Wolverhampton, England, and is widely regarded as one of the most influential jazz bassists and composers of the modern era. His career spans more than 5 decades, marked by innovation, versatility, and a deep commitment to both tradition and experimentation. Welcome. Thanks for joining us, and I can't wait to start the discussion. How you doing, Drew?
Good. I almost thought you were going to say what album it was. You just said tonight's album.
Well,
Moving right along. So
keep them hanging
yeah,
for just a minute.
I'm doing well. It's been a busy kind of few days, so I am looking forward to this dialogue and hearing your thoughts on this particular album,
Good.
as well as sharing my thoughts.
Yes, absolutely. Well, all right. The name of the album is Not for Nothing by Dave Holland. It includes Chris Potter on the saxes, Robin Eubanks on the trombone, Steve Nelson on the vibes and marimba, and Billy Kilson on the drums. And of course, that does include Dave Holland on the bass. So Dave Holland, Not for Nothing.
Recorded September 2000, released August 01, and this is none other than the ECM label. So we know we're in for some great music. Manfred Eicher set that in motion way back in the early 70s. Experimental, I might call it. All of them, I think that ECM picked up. I might actually start to look at a little differently. I was reading something this weekend that we looked at the tip of the spear. The Hoagie Carmichaels, the Bix Beiderbecke, Jelly Roll. They were pure innovators of the time. They weren't doing anything that anybody else was doing, and that's what we think of with hot jazz. Then the bebops come out, and you see these innovators like Gillespie. The same thing happens in the record label industry. ECM is looking for that brand new sound, and I think they continue to look for that brand new innovation today, and this quintet is just the same. So
yeah, absolutely.
I love the ECM label. When I see one pop up, I'm like, oh yes, we're in for some good music.
It was part of my reason for picking this album this week was because it was ECM and because we have heard Dave in the past, but we've never really done a deep dive look at Dave and his music. So with that being said, speaking of music, what do you say we start off with a clip?
Brilliant.
All right.
Yours or mine?
I think you got yours queued up. So why don't we do your clip first?
Well, I wanted to hear the track 1 through 9. The album is only 1 hour and 12 minutes long, so
let's just
brace
do that.
Yourselves.
Let's just play the entire album.
I really did struggle. About the 5th time through, I couldn't really identify a clip. There were so many great moments in all of the songs that it really is tough. What I did notice, though, is that one kept stepping out a little further, and that was Shifting Sands, track number 4. It is written by Dave Holland, so it, to me, kind of blends all of his years and all of the different genres of jazz. I was going to play a solo, which began at about 2 minutes, 30 seconds, and you hear Dave, and then you hear the vibes. However, the beginning is an intro with the marimba. So here is the first minute of the song Shifting Sands. I'll stop it right there because it's going to start again.
So what stood out to you with that clip?
To me, it's the beauty of the contrast of the instrumentation, the deep woody sound of the marimba, of all things. We've listened to a lot of vibes over the years, but the marimba has they're wooden keys, so he's banging on wood in conjunction with the soprano saxophone. So you've got this mellow woody tone and a higher pitched saxophone tone blended with the trombone that at first I was like, is that a French horn playing? Is this like a Maria Schneider kind of mix of music? What in the world is going on? And the more I listened to it, I just kept getting drawn in over and over. So you've got a very smooth bass line, very quiet but represented. The marimba, the nice soft tone, soprano, a little high and squeaky, and then the trombone just kind of flowing. And they all flowed together through the song. That's what really hit me at the beginning over and over about this particular song. Togetherness.
Yes, absolutely. I love that description too. That rich tone that the marimba produces kind of sets the mood almost for that whole intro, for the whole head of the piece. So, all right, I'm gonna override you and say I want to play a third clip tonight, and I want you to play Dave's solo in that song. Will you do that?
Yeah,
and then we'll play my clip after that. But
yeah, I will definitely do that.
I didn't think I'd have to twist your arm.
So Matt, I was going to start at 2:30 so we could hear him, and then into the vibraphone, which was the big shift in this. But to hear his solo, I'm going to start at 1:20, and we'll play till the just about the vibes kick in. Perfect. So here we go. It's such a beautiful solo. Right here is where Steve Nelson comes in. Mm-hmm. And what I most loved is the way in which he starts by bringing in a few notes in the silence that Dave is leaving, the room to breathe that Dave has left. He comes in and just adds a few touches, and then of course he takes it from there.
It's the passing of the baton.
Yeah.
In the conversation, the passing of the baton. What a great clip. I mean, ever since we covered Gary Burton, I have just been a humongous jazz vibraphonist fan. I know that we fanboyed out on Gary and his music, and I always it's sad of me to say, but I always thought that Gary was the only vibraphonist in jazz until I've heard Steve Nelson. And
now you've got new names to go chase. In
all the rap holes that I get to experience because of this album is going to be amazing. It was a great clip. You know, like you said, Dave leaves room in his solos. He doesn't try and play a bajillion notes. I love the way that it's rounded. But yet it's still right in your face.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like getting hit in the face with a basketball as opposed to a baseball.
Right. Well, and even that, it was probably a Nerf basketball.
True. Yeah.
That was what I love about the entire album, though, is that nothing is in your face. These guys work so beautiful together, and the names that you read off earlier, the years, the experiences that they've had in a lot of different genres of jazz. I mean, we're going to talk a little bit about where Dave's history took him, but then you think about the trombone player, Robin, and Chris, the soprano, where the deep history that they have, and then the ability to sit together and play on this particular album. And there's more albums that I know that coming up here in a little bit, but they all do it so beautifully.
So 5 of the 9 songs were written by Dave. The other 4 songs were written by the other members of the group. So all this music is self-written. It's yeah.
Yep. I'll put that up. The names of who did that. I've got a slide for that right now that I'll drop in. So
awesome.
We can see that it seems like they did a one for you, one for me kind of thing. Song number 1 is Robin. 2 is back to Dave. 3 is Chris, back to Dave. Billy, 5, back to Dave. Steve, back to Dave. So,
yeah.
I wonder if there was intentionality behind that too.
That's a good question. I don't know. In my mind, I always think Dave is he's a giving soul. He's not a spotlight seeker. So, just to give them credit where credit is due. Yeah, that's a great point.
I wonder if that's something he picked up with another great leader he had served with.
Oh, I wonder.
What audio clip did you want to hear, Matt?
All right. My song is song number 2 on the album, For All You Are. And start me right at 4 minutes and 40 seconds. Play me about a minute. And like you, I like the trio sound because we've got Dave on the bass. We're going back to Steve Nelson on the vibes and the drums. So Billy Kilson on the drums. So For All You Are, starting at 4 minutes, 40 seconds.
Here we go.
The drummer's back there and he changes signature, not signature, but his beats 2 or 3 times during that solo. He's laying something different down just to change the whole dynamic of the solo. The thing that I loved about Steve, he doesn't try and play a gazillion notes either.
No.
The notes he plays are intentional. He leaves space. He lets that vibe ring almost until it's all faded out and it fades. And then he plays another note and lets it fade. And then he plays, you know what I mean? He leaves so much space in there and he doesn't try and overdo it. No. It's just immaculate. Just immaculate.
It's the room to breathe in everybody's. You almost hate calling it a solo. It's a feature.
It's a feature.
They actually put them in the front and let them have it. And I think of solos in the bebop era when you almost have that saxophone or trombonist burn out everybody behind you. These are just kind of a little louder, but nothing changes. It's so smooth, so easy. And it kind of reminds me of the album cover, the moving sky, just the way in which the clouds are flowing over the hill.
Yeah.
It's just as easy as the wind blowing.
Mm-hmm. Now, this whole album, we picked three very good clips, great clips off the album, but the whole album is not like this. You do get some up tempo, upbeat,
Oh yeah,
almost pushing the limits to avant garde jazz. There
there are a
are
few
times,
times when it slips that way.
yeah. So, but I urge you guys to go out and listen to the album for yourself because you will not be disappointed. What'd you say? An hour and 11 minutes?
Hour 12, yeah,
Hour and
hour
12
12.
minutes, you will not be disappointed. It's not a waste of an hour and 12 minutes at all.
The with the exception of my clip at the beginning, you hear the trombone player, but sit and listen to Robin play, and I'm thinking, holy wow.
Yeah.
It is worth just listening to the trombone go at it. And again, the deep history. Look into the names that these cats have played with. I just clicked again. I was looking at Rob, and I thought I remember something standing out. Yeah, he was musical director and drummer at the Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers. So he has spent some time in the big band realm. Drummer Elvin played with Elvin Jones, Slide Hampton, Sun Ra, Stevie Wonder. What is his dynamics in that? If you've played with Slide Hampton, you've played with Sun Ra and Stevie Wonder. You've covered a lot of data in different music styles, and then to bring it together on an album like this. So, whew.
Each one of these artists, though, like each one, you could go down a rabbit hole and listen to music for the next year
Oh,
on in any one of the artists that are on this album.
and that, yeah. I know when we get into slides, I'll reiterate this, but this was not the first time that this group has come together.
Correct.
So,
Speaking of slides, what do you say?
let's do it.
Whatever you do, do it to jazz. You're going to hear in our weekend music coming up in just a little bit. That's pretty much what we do. We listen to jazz all week long. Of course, tonight we are talking about the Dave Holland Quintet. The name of the album is Not for Nothing. I did put a picture of the album art on the slide. I like you see a mountaintop and sky. I see a green grass and cliff and ocean out there and their waves. So
Okay.
so he's standing back on a cliffside with the green grass in front of him.
And
The
then just
tall,
an ocean
the
out
tall,
there.
yeah, yep. That's what I see when I look at it. But I see, since you've said mountain or hill and sky, I can see that too. So
Now, I have just spent 3 days back to back out in the middle of the hill country with rambunctious high schoolers. So to me, I see the same cliff, the same mountaintop in the hill country, in the blue skies that we've been waiting for clouds to come for a better sunset photo. So
yeah, right.
it is kind
Right.
of skewed by my last few days.
I get it. I do. I get it. I'm just telling you what I see in the album. I like the artwork cover, anyways. So this is the third album by this quintet. I did want to make that in the bio. So the third album, Dare 2, is Dave's very own recording label. So I wanted to highlight that about Dave. Dare 2, he's got his own label. Dave mentioned that Ray Brown, who was also a bassist, was one of his influences on the reading that I was doing this week. We always used to talk about influences and who influenced the artist. So Ray Brown, I unfortunately I didn't get a chance to go listen to any Ray Brown, but if it influenced Dave, I'm sure that he's got to be good.
Oh, I'm sure so.
In the late 60s to the early 70s, Dave played with none other than Miles Davis. So yeah, we're going to talk about that coming up in a little bit too, I'm sure. But then in the 70s, he switched to the ECM label and started recording some of his own stuff and a lot of stuff with a lot of other people on ECM. So I love Dave for coming over to ECM and putting out some great music. 2006, he was nominated and voted Downbeat Bassist of the Year. There's many, many, many awards that Dave won. I just wanted to highlight because he's in Downbeat Bassist of the Year in 2006. Just wanted to highlight that.
Now, before we move from that slide, I want to touch on a couple of things. I just want to read this. I brought this up because it was curiosity to me. This album we're looking at is from 2001, Not for Nothing. Points of View from 1997 was the first time this group had gotten together. However, prior to that, there was a similar quartet, Dreams of the Elders in 96. And that had Eric Pearson on alto and soprano, Steve Nelson on vibes, Gene Jackson on drums, and it also had Miss Cassandra Wilson on the vocals for the last track. Then Prime Directive 99 was it. I wanted to comment because you didn't get a chance to look into Ray Brown, but I want to put one more vibraphonist in your ears. Ray Brown spent a lot of time with none other than Milt Jackson.
Milt Jackson, yep.
So Bags Groove, all of those, John Coltrane, such on. It was Ray Brown, Milt Jackson. You'll see Brown's Bag. You'll see a couple others. For Lester.
And I came across Milt Jackson because Bags and Train. When I did my Coltrane listening, that Bags and Train album is wow. It's really, really good. It's banging.
And it was because of the Downbeat magazine. Ray played with Dizzy on many albums, Coleman Hawkins on many albums, Milt Jackson, Quincy Jones. So now I'm going to have to go track down Ray Brown and listen to a lot of his work, not all of it, because I'm still scrolling with others. A lot with Freddie. Oh, the Alternate Blues. I just saw this name, Matt, because this is what we do during the week when we talk. The Alternate Blues is an album from 1982, and it had Oscar Peterson on piano, Dizzy Gillespie trumpet, Clark Terry on flugelhorn, Freddie Hubbard on trumpet and flugelhorn, Joe Pass guitar, Ray Brown on bass. Bobby
and why have we never heard or listened to it?
I don't know, but the Alternate Blues. I'm going to screenshot that so I can save that for later. There we go.
Yeah, I'm making it in my notes. So I'm going to listen to it today.
Well, Freddie Hubbard and Clark Terry with Dizzy Gillespie. Those three trumpeters, come on, baby.
Come on.
So, sorry, I got sidetracked on that.
Again, this is like our Tuesday morning conversation.
As it goes, squirrel.
Rabbit hole.
Rabbit hole.
Or do you want to run down the rabbit hole? All right. So I did put a quote by Dave in the slideshow. This is a great quote. I love this quote. If it's not fun, we've got to do something different. You know, you see a bass player standing back behind the band, and they're usually stoic and not very animated. And he's just back there. But we don't know what his idea of fun is. No. That's probably his idea of fun. The Three Rivers Big Band bass player, his name is Dave also. And he's not, he's animated. He smiles and bobs his head a little bit. But when the tune is over, oh man, he's crazy. He's, talking with the rest of the band, and the MC will point him out and he'll wave. And I don't know. When I think of bass players, I don't think of a energetic, you know what I mean? No. But from Dave's quote here, you can just kind of glean that he's a kid at heart, and he wants to have fun, and he loves what he does.
And you've seen those people who you're looking at them on stage, even in the live productions that we get videos of. They may not be jumping, hooting, and hollering, but you can see it in their face. You can see it in the little giggly moves. They're having fun. Yeah. I watched the sax player at Monk's one night, and I'm like, that dude is living his dream. Just all kinds of, and I'm like, he hasn't moved. He hasn't done this whole woo kind of. I'm like, man, I want to grow up to be just like him. So
yeah, for sure.
Music is fun, isn't it?
It sure is. All right, I do have a difficult this or that this week. This is week number 8 for this or that. We're just going to do a couple more weeks of this or that, and then we're going to move on to something else. But this or that for this week, I picked 2 guitar players. I picked The Genius of the Electric Guitar by Charlie Christian, or the Mahavishnu Orchestra with John McLaughlin. Drew, this or that, which one are you picking?
Ugh. I like not a lot of silence and dead space on the episode because I'll wind up cutting it out. But today, the Inner Mining Flame.
Oh,
because I've listened to this album. Well, I listened to it a lot, but The Genius of the Electric Guitar. I've listened to it over and over and over again, and I just love it. It's brilliant. But for something different, for that upbeat, 3 days with a bunch of kids, I'm ready for some energy. Let's go.
Yeah.
That,
Yeah.
or I'm going to take a nap until
You're
tomorrow
going,
morning.
you go for the spicy guacamole anyways.
I do. I do.
For me this week, I'm picking the Charlie Christian. I'm kind of the opposite. I need the chill factor this week. So, not that Charlie's chill, but that album is a lot more
Yeah.
my speed this week than the Intermounting Flame.
And
So,
and if the producer does his job, the this or that link will be pinned in the comments, so it should be the first comment out there. Just look at the comments below and go ahead and hit the link.
but if not, you can always head on over to theunconnoisseur.com. I've got the link right on the front page for this or that. All of the links will stay up so that you can come back anytime and vote. We've already gone over the first 3 weeks of this or that, the results. So please don't hesitate to come back to the Unconnoisseur. Click on that this or that link, and I've got them broken down by weeks. Just come back and vote at theunconnoisseur.com. We also do have a radio channel, WTUR.org. You can listen to jazz music 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Not 24 hours a day, because there's a few hours where I play Unconnoisseur episodes on the radio channel. So you get to hear our episodes stream outside your normal listening times. We also have a merch store, and that's available as well at theunconnoisseur.com. You just click on merchandise link, and it will take you right there. It's just some highlights that I want to discuss just right now before I give away the commercial. We are so close, Drew. We're so close. This week, we've got 374 subscribers and 49,991 views. We are 9 views away from 50,000 views on our channel. Thank you so much, guys. It just warms my heart. It's not about the numbers for us, and Drew and I talk about that all the time. It's not about the numbers, but it's fun to watch the numbers. And 50,000 views on our videos, just blows me away. So thank you so much. And that's it for me and the commercial and the slideshow.
Well, because you're there, I just want to remind everybody, hit like, subscribe, and the notification bell, ding, so that you know when our episodes come out, usually on Tuesday morning our time. Across the pond, that would be Tuesday evening, I guess 8 hours later. So thank you all for tuning in over there overseas. And for all of y'all that are not within that audio listening distance, because YouTube likes to block audio clips in certain territories, we apologize that you don't get to listen to the awesome clips, but just plug in the album and you'll know what we're talking about. So
there you go.
Yeah. And Matt, it's so funny because we talk about this a lot. The numbers don't matter. It's fun to watch. But what does matter is the conversation we had the other day. Do you go get you go to college and study jazz history? Well, we've got 3 years of talking jazz history, so we might be a professor someday. Professor of Jazz History Studies. But until then, we'll just audit classes.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea. All right, so let's deep dive into this. Tell me what your thoughts on the album were.
All in all, Matt, I just love the way the whole album flowed from beginning to end. There is a jump of a little bit of music from kind of something of it. It's a sample of things, but there's so much consistency in every song. And again, I listened to it this morning on my drive back from the hill country, so I got a complete listen. And most of the time I have, but when you're driving, there's nothing else to do. Just watch for deer. I saw some fox, a couple of coyotes, a bunch of rabbits this morning. And that's all I'm paying attention to, except for my earbuds. And the music in and of itself, just so incredible. I think that I saw something in Wiki this morning about it. The ECM connection matters, I think, is the paragraph that's written. If, like me, you associate the label with all that is clever but too contemplative by half, nothing, not for nothing should be a sultry warning to you. And I think it makes a comment to say that this is ECM. This is what we want. This is what we love. This is what we've grown to expect. And it hit the mark for that. I think that it does matter that it's an ECM label on this particular album. I just loved it, period. And you start looking at the musicians that are on it. They're all from, you go back to Miles Davis and Dave. You go through all of the things that he has ever done, who he's worked with, where he's been, the music, and we call it genre, but the subgenre of jazz that he's played. He has been there, done that. The filmography, the discography, his as a leader stretches back to 73, but him playing with others takes you back even before that. Anthony Braxton, Steve Coleman, Chick Corea, Miles Davis, on and on and on. Herbie Hancock, couple albums, Joe Henderson. These are the jazz giants of history that we've come to love and respect. Not to mention a whole list of Kenny Wheeler albums. And I'm like, come on, where has he been? Who has he played with? What's his experience? But you take a poo-poo sample of all of that, and he's played with some of the most creative minds in the jazz world. Okay, that's Dave. That's cool. Now look at everybody else who's on the album. And they all bring their salt and pepper shakers to the table for these 3 albums. I hope one day we hear more music from them. Oh, we found this unreleased. Or we found this unreleased. I would love nothing more than to hear that they got back together and did something like that.
So I struggled this week, and I wrote it down in my notes. In the future, I'm driving down the road. My playlist is on shuffle. How will I know this is Dave? How will I know that this is the Dave Holland Quintet instead of the Chris Potter sax release that he's done, or the Robin Eubanks? How can you pick this one out and say that's Dave? Because that's not
what you used to ask. Recognizable. Will I recognize it when it pops on?
Yeah. He's not the superstar. He's not coming in hot. It's not the first thing you hear when the album starts. It's not even normally the first thing you hear when the songs start is the bass. So how will you know a minute in that it's Dave? That's the only thing that I struggle with. I love the music. I love the musicians. I thought it was well crafted. I thought there was, again, the way that they played together, the craftsmanship, the awareness of the album. I love the craftsmanship and the awareness. The emotion was super high for me this week, super high. But in my mind, the recognizability fact that I always tend to think about, how am I going to know it's Dave instead of
anybody else?
It
could be a completely different group. I think the one thing that stands out to me, though, is I think I best said it on Shifting Sands, the beginning of that, how they kind of all play together and nobody stands out. It's almost as if Robin plays a phrase, Chris plays a phrase, Steve plays one, and Dave and Billy are just in the back kind of filling in between each one of them. They all have a statement, but none of them make it at the same time. That's what I would be listening. If I hear that, I'll go, oh, I bet this is the Dave Holland. Because they all speak, but no one at the same time as somebody else.
Okay.
And so the spacing, the verbiage, but you know what's going to happen this week? I'm going to be listening to something. I'll be like, oh, yeah, that's the Dave Holland Quintet again. And I'll be like, oh, no, it's not. Somebody else chose. And this is why I said it earlier. There was a moment when I'm listening and I thought, did it just change albums? So I reached down and it was on my tablet because I've been out of cell phone and Wi-Fi. All electronics did not work this week where we were out at. So it was downloaded on my tablet. So I'm listening. So I reached for my tablet. I almost thought for a moment I was listening to a Maria Schneider album. And I was like, how did that come on my tablet? So I've got her stuff downloaded. So it wouldn't surprise me if it all of a sudden changed to Maria Schneider, but it was not Data Lords. I'll tell you that. But you're right. How do I know that? And it's funny. I thought the trombone a couple of times was a French horn, as smooth and as mellow as it is.
Yep.
So I don't know, Matt. That's a great question.
Listen with reverence. Listen and pay attention. This as easy as the album is, it's easy to put on and sit here and get some work done, or sit here and read. I was reading this week and had the album on while I was reading because it is easy to listen to. You can come in and listen and then zone out for a few minutes and take a step away, but it's still in your ears. But when you listen with reverence, it may change. I'll have to shuffle, build a new playlist with this album and some other similar kind of stuff, and let it play. I've heard the album so many times this week anyways, I would know the songs. But when it comes on in the radio station and you're not even looking at the website, you jump back and say, "Oh yeah, it's the Dave Holland," and not the Tringball Quartet or Tringball Trio that I have uploaded and listened to the Tringball Trio. So I don't know. I just wanted to pose the question. So
I have a question for you along the same lines, though, and we don't spend a lot of time dialoguing about it, so I'll just throw it out there. Do you each week dedicate that 1 hour or more or less to just listening with the reverence and the intentionality to the album?
Yes. Usually it's my first time through. I don't do anything else. I put the album on. There have been exceptions. I'm not sitting down for 7 hours and listening to the Plug Nickel. But on a normal week with a normal album, yes, that the first time through, I don't do anything else. I don't have magazines open. I don't have, not working. I spend the hour or the 45 minutes or however long the album is listening with reverence the first time through to get the subtle nuances that I can then expand on throughout my week while I have it in, and start in my mind building what clip am I going to pick? Because again, this week you could have, we say it a lot. You could pick just about anything on the album and play a minute and we could talk about it. Not because we just make stuff up, but because it's that good. That's well-crafted music. And I think, yes, I do. To answer your question. What about you? Do you reverent?
I still do. Yeah, absolutely. And a couple of times during the week, if I could fit them in, I like to, drop off or pick up. And in between, I've got filler in the morning and do different things, but I like to just park somewhere random. I like a park so I can see things. There are times when I park against a brick wall so that I have no distraction whatsoever. And if I do, I will shut off the car so it's just the earbuds in me. And I know that there are times when people think I'm losing my mind because I'm sitting there staring into Never Never Land. I've gone to the park and just sat back and listened to the music. And yeah, this is one of those albums where I appreciated being out in the middle of nowhere. One afternoon, and it was so windy out there this week, but I'm out there just listening to it, and I'm looking at, it's a 5,500 acre ranch that we were plopped in the middle of. It was gorgeous. And I'm sitting there listening, and I forget that an hour had passed. I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to be somewhere doing something with kids. I got to go. And we were 3 hours of off time, so I used it wisely, but I get lost in it.
Not like waking up from a nap thinking it's 6 o'clock in the evening when it's really 3 o'clock in the afternoon, but similar, because you're out there and you're fully involved in listening and taking it all in and losing yourself in the music. That happens to me quite often.
This album, kind of like some of them we mentioned, Crystal Silence or Cone Concert, that you can get lost in and forget that you're just honing into it.
It was one of my very first notes this week on the album. I get a Return to Forever vibe on this album, and we covered Return to Forever, Chick Corea's album, and it scored very, very, very highly on my rating. And I just get that whole calmness and Return to Forever kind of vibe in the first place.
Yeah.
So, all right, I'm ready to rate. I've got my score, and I'm going to tell you my score now. My score for Dave Holland, Not for Nothing, this week is 9.5. I couldn't go to a 10 for the very fact that I still have a hard time answering my own question. How am I going to know next week, next month, next year when the album comes on a shuffle list that it's Dave Holland? That's the only reason. That's it.
Huh. I struggle with rating it because I loved the silence that falls in between all of the notes. You can almost hear yourself wanting to play some music in the middle of it, but you know that to do it will disturb it. And so I listen over and over and over again, and I'm thinking, how I couldn't pick a clip, Matt. How can you rate the album? By the time it was all said and done, one of the albums that I went to afterwards, because it was so calming, was A Love Supreme. So I had to shake my world up just to break the meditation of the album. So rating it was tough. It really, really was. All in all, just like you said, the creativity that was there, the awareness is definitely there. The spirit and the emotion, the drive, all of it just banging. But for some reason, I can't put a 10 on it. I put a 9 on it, and my first listen, how did I put this? I really dug into it. I really enjoyed the album. Great combo. It began to flow together. And I think that the length of the tracks is probably what ended up keeping me from going higher. 5:20 is the shortest track. And the first song, Global Citizen, is 11 minutes long. You kind of want to break.
Well, except the only fact is in that 11 minutes, there is a silence break, and you almost think that it's a new song.
Yes.
But then you look, and it's still silent.
Global Citizen.
Yes.
So I think that getting lost in the music should have probably put it at a 10.
I'm not mad at a 9.
But I'm pretty confident that I love my 9 score. Now, going back, I probably need to start waiting until the end of the week, and I've really listened to it and dug in. But for me, the historical impact of all of these musicians is worth a 10. But as an overall album, I'm going with a 9.
I feel myself sometimes rating the artist instead of the album. And this week, I solely focused on the album.
Yeah.
So
I love the scores, though.
Oh, I do too. Banging scores.
I'm curious. Maybe we can convince Dad to just come back and re-rate one episode on his at the beginning. We could just have him ask or tell us what he might. I know he's listening to the albums.
Oh, I know he is. And he you know what? We may get a special guest appearance next week. He's already mentioned that he may be joining us. So it'd be good to have him back. Be good to be able to get on track. Dad, on track.
It would be good to have you back because we have desperately need the wisdom of the old man again.
That's right. Speaking of old man, he did the. Yeah, you get to do Old Man What's New. You get
Old Man New Music, baby. That's what's coming up.
Tell us what's new.
Well, you know that I've been a sucker for Kenny Wheeler's I Read the Book, A Song for Someone. And so I have been all over the place, and I came across what's new just simply because we're studying Dave Holland. What does Dave Holland and Kenny Wheeler have in common? Well, that's what's new. The slide is now up. The album is Vital Spark. It is the music of none other than Kenny Wheeler, and it was released 6 days ago in 2026. So it is brand spanking new. It's an hour and 1 minute long. Dave Holland, Norma Winston, and the doing Kenny Wheeler music with the London Vocal Project. Norma is a vocalist, and so I think that in time I may go back to it and say, hey, we really want to cover and deep dive this, but it's the music of Kenny Wheeler. Yeah. And it is done by Dave Holland and Norma Winston. To me, this album was super fun to listen to. Again, we're not big we're not big Jokel fans, but we're not big vocal jazz fans. But her voice is just so smooth and buttery that I really enjoyed the hour of this music. And listening to it done by Kenny Wheeler listening done by Dave, the music of Kenny Wheeler is so cool.
Yeah.
So stinking cool.
Yes. I
So
listened to the album this week. I got a lot of enjoyment out of it. I think a deep dive may be necessary in the future.
yeah.
Yeah.
I love Kenny. I'm growing to
Okay.
respect that man.
So you got to do what's new. Why don't you then just go right ahead and tell us what's next?
I don't know that I can do this. I've got to brace myself. I was already excited to introduce Vital Spark, and now I got to do it. I get to do it. Are we done with this week's album before I go to next week's album? I think we're done.
We are.
We've rated it. We've
Yep.
talked about it. But let me tell you that I have really enjoyed the years that we've covered Dave Holland. You know, from Miles Davis and listening to all of his time. You listen to Dave Holland and you realize that he's got a deep, rich history. Obviously, I love trumpet players too. And this week's album has some of my favoriteest people. These are a few of my favorite people. How's that? Again, I'm reading Kenny Wheeler, baby, so here we go. This is New High. GNU, New High for next week. This is Kenny Wheeler. This is Keith Jarrett. This is Dave Holland and Jack DeJohnette. And I said it, Matt, right before we hit record. If you see Dave Holland, there's a pretty strong chance that you're going to see Jack DeJohnette right there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like this tag team of rhythm section, which is phenomenal. Keith Jarrett goes into ECM to record his music, which is only 43 minutes long. It's 40 minutes long, I'm sorry. 40 minutes and 15 seconds. He goes in and he tells Manfred, I got this music and I'm trying to get my pianist. And Manfred says, do I have a pianist for you? I want to get Keith Jarrett. Well, this is just months after the Cologne concert was released. So I'm looking at New High thinking, I'm going to get to hear Kenny on trumpet and Keith together on the piano, and it's Dave Holland, and we've just covered Dave Holland, and we're going to look at Dave Holland doing Vital Sparks, and I'm like, a New High it is. That's what I want to talk about this week.
We're staying on the ECM train. We're staying on the Dave Holland train. We're adding Kenny Wheeler and
Keith.
And Keith.
I mean, 4 months after the Cologne concert, he is recording this album, A New High, with Kenny Wheeler. And it's the first time that they sit side by side. So there's some great history in the book. The book that I'm reading is A Song for Someone. Co-authored, Brian Shaw was one of the authors. My book is in my backpack because I still haven't unpacked from camp. But co-author was Brian Shaw. So I'm reading about it. I'm like, these are some cool stories. I ought to listen to the album. Well, that's been a few weeks ago, and I've listened to it probably 5 times a week since then. So I just love the music. I really do. And it's easy.
So,
come on.
New High by Kenny Wheeler. Put that in your ears for this week and come back next week and join our discussion, and you'll find out how we rate the album. We'd love to hear from you. Please feel free to leave comments in our videos. Tell us what you think we got right. Tell us what you think we got wrong. And if we missed something that you want to highlight, please put it in the comment. We'll come back to those comments and mention them in our next week's episode.
Yes. Yes, we will. All right.
Okay.
That's what's new. That's what's next. What's been the past week for you outside of that? You doing well?
Oh boy. Yeah. Yeah. Because we were on Dave Holland, I wanted to stay with Dave. Now, he's got some great music anyways, and this is before I knew what you were going to pick. But here's my list of what else I listened to with Dave. Herbie Hancock's The New Standard. We covered it. I loved it. So it wasn't even a question if I was going to listen to it again. I listened to it again just to focus on Dave. New High by Kenny Wheeler. That was number 2 on my list that I listened to. I mean, I already listened to it, but I was listening to Dave instead of Kenny. I wanted to hear what Dave was doing. Gary Burton, Like Minds. The name of the album is called Like Minds. I wanted to hear Dave. Carl Berger, Crystal Fires. I wanted to hear Dave. And I've never heard anything else by Carl Berger because the name just hasn't come across my vision yet. Pat Metheny. I listened to Pat Metheny and Dave Holland. I mean, come on. I mean, that was my week. that was my week. Besides listening to the radio channel and all of the other Dave Holland music, I couldn't get enough. I just couldn't get enough. And it's funny. I was thinking while we were discussing how easy the album is, that Dave played with Miles, and he played the bop and the hard bop and the bebop, and then he lands on this style of not easy but easier music to listen to.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I had a great week. I got to go to Northside Jazz Fest, and I sat and watched 4 more high school bands. I had a great time. Mr. Buselli, Dr. Buselli was there, so I got to at least wave and see that he was there at Northside as a judge. I didn't go up and talk to him this week, but Mark Buselli from the Buselli Wallarb Orchestra, I don't know. I love the guy. He's awesome, and anytime I get to see him, I'm happy. So, yeah, that was pretty much my week. I was a bachelor all weekend. Kendra was away scrapbooking.
Okay.
So I had a lot of time to listen to jazz. Oh, of course. Wait a minute. Let's not forget. She was gone on Sunday morning. Sunday morning was the big game. Sunday morning was the big game. Yes. Congratulations.
Yeah, we're a few days from normal recorded date, and I had forgotten about that.
Yes. So Sunday morning, Keaton comes over. We watched the first period of hockey. I'm making breakfast so that we can eat during the intermission, and of course it takes me a few minutes to make breakfast anyways. And the second period starts, and we're shoveling scrambled eggs and bacon in our mouth. That wasn't a great second period for the USA team, but the third period and the overtime, of course, everyone knows the results, worked out amazing. Yeah, so congratulations. And I want to say congratulations to the women's team too. They don't get enough respect, but that game, you know what? Over the 2 games, I'd rather have watched the women's game. I think it was more exciting. I was more nervous for the men's game.
Yeah.
But I kind of figured that the women had it in the bag. And it was a funner game to watch for me, was the women's game. So women's hockey took gold, men's hockey took gold. Congratulations.
Yep. What a big deal. And of course the Olympics have wrapped up. What a fun time to watch all kinds of winter sports go down.
Yeah.
Both from the failures and the successes, the victory and the defeat. It's been super fun. But the hockey, I ended up getting stuck into watching that. I watched as much of it as I could. It was awesome.
It was awesome.
It was awesome. But coming into the men's, it was kind of tight. I'm like, oh, crap. We've watched so many other tiebreaker games that have not gone in favor of the team that scored at the last minute to bring it into a tie. So, and I kept hearing the words that you'd said, Keaton really follows this. So he knows, and he's got his suspects of Canada winning. I'm like, oh, this is not good. U.S. puts that point in, and I'm like, game over.
And not to go too deep in the weeds on this, but I saw a clip. Someone wrote out on Facebook, Canada was the better team. They had more puck time. They had more time in their offensive zone. They had this, they had that, they had this, they had that. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how good you look on paper. It's what happens at the very end, how good you look. Yeah. And unfortunately,
and I tell you, they look good. Watching the goalie hit the heel end of his stick to block a puck that could have determined the game.
Yeah.
They look good.
They sure did.
I am good.
So tell me about your week.
It's been a great week. Normal schedule of practice time on trumpet has given me some rigidity, but yet some flexibility. This week at camp, I did get 2 days to practice and our free time, if you will. One of the days, the kids just thought it was funny that I'm in the dorm room practicing. It's windy outside. I don't want to go sit outside. The dust is blowing, so I've got no other place to go. Nobody's napping, so I've got the whole quad to myself just to play. So I got about an hour and a half of practice time that day and 45 minutes the next. I almost just took a hike out into the woods and played in the woods. But, if you blow your horn in the woods and nobody hears you, are you really blowing your horn? That's what I kept laughing at. But we wanted to stay close. There were enough adult chaperones, but if something goes wrong, we're limited to what we can do, how we can handle it. So I stayed pretty close.
Is it snake weather yet?
I did get pictures of a couple of snakes. It's not snake weather yet. We've got a couple of more months for them to start crawling out, but we were out doing a bird hike yesterday, listening to the sounds of all the different birds that are in the valley of this ranch. And the kids start screaming up ahead, and there's a snake. It's a rattlesnake. Oh my goodness, it's a big old rattlesnake. And it had a diamond-shaped head. It turns out it was a prairie king snake, and it was about a foot long, a little bit bigger. Our tour guide was already in front of the group, and her compadre is at the back end near me. So he scurried up to the tree branch, and he's like, I'm not sure if it really is a rattlesnake. They said it had a diamond-shaped head, so I'm not exactly going to put my arm underneath this tree root and dig it out. So he sticks his face into it. I'm like, you can bury your face into it, get bit in the face by a rattlesnake. And he starts laughing. He goes, oh, it's a prairie, whatever long word it is, but basically a prairie king snake. And he sticks his hand in and pulls his foot and a half. And he's like, oh, I'm going to put it in he's got his pullover hoodie on, so the long pocket up front. He's like, I'm just going to stick the little guy in my pocket. We'll go back up and show the rest of the crew later. So we get to the activities building, and the snake won't stay in his pocket. So he's just got this snake crawling all around his arm. The kids freaked out, wanted to play with the snake. So almost everybody had an opportunity. And, of course, their activities building had 2 snakes that they have for viewing, a hognose snake and something else. So all 3 snakes being passed around by 30-some students. I think everybody had their hand on the snakes at some point in time. So, yeah, I know how much you hate them.
Yep,
so just to talk about them's got your skin crawling. But
I'm out. Yep.
But we've seen so much great stuff and had a great time with that. But practice and this camping trip just done took it out of me. 3 full days out there, and I left early this morning to get back in for some other things. So, and last week was the same. Good practice, good rhythm, good life. Listening to as much music as I can. A couple of days I've just taken time out from the music and sat in silence and did some reading, and that's been good too. So yeah, for sure. The Olympics have finished. Gold medals were out, so it was time to get back to norm. Yep. I look forward to the Olympics starting. I love the 2 weeks that they're on, but by the time they're over, I'm like, I've watched enough sports for the next 2 years, and then when the Olympics start again, I'm all excited again. Yep. So, yep. So well, it sounds like a great week in music. Yeah, it has been a great week for both of us. And just as a heads up, Dad is walking about. Things are going good. He started to eat breakfast again, some physical breakfast, not just the bagged food. Spirits are definitely up. Today he's got somebody come by to visit. So he is doing... Lady D was over yesterday, and she said that he was actually eating some cut up and ground up spaghetti. Okay. So he is officially starting to eat more, I won't say solid food, but he's eating... I think he's not ready to get baby food. I think he's ready to get that feeding tube out of him. So he's gonna start eating what he can. And you know what? Mom posted it on Facebook, but let's just call it the way it is. Yeah. The cancer's gone. He's not doing chemo. He is going in for once a month immunotherapy. So chemo is off the table. Immunotherapy for the next 12 months, which is only once a month, and it's a 1-hour deal. So he is more than ecstatic at that. Keaton and I got a chance to go over Sunday after the hockey game. My blood pressure was still high, my anxiety, and I was still freaked out a little bit by the game. But we drove over and sat with him and talked to him for an hour. He's starting to get hair back on the top. You wouldn't be able to see it on camera, but his little peach fuzz is coming back, and he's looking pretty good. So I know that he's anxious to get back on the channel with us and start talking jazz again. So can't wait till you get here and give us your insight. Yep. I'm looking forward to that. Yep. Me too. Stay tuned, and maybe the old man gets to join us. Woohoo. All right. So again, next week, the album that you're going to be putting in your ears, Kenny Wheeler's New High, GNUHIGH. New High. Until next week, enjoy the music. Cheers. Peace out.